However, one of the main questions that I'm always fascinated with how you became aware and on your conscious spiritual journey, because we're always on a journey. It's just when we wake up to it.
Yeah, of course, so many come to mind.
Yeah.
And it was certainly a breadcrumb trail that happened over time. And there wasn't one moment that started it. It was like small crumbs that became larger crumbs. But one very significant moment was a really cool special day when I was still in my sales career in 2015. And it was my third year anniversary at this company. And I was having a horrible day because I didn't like my job. I had to get out of the car and knock on doors and sell things. And I was, I burned out in this career for, 11 years. And that's a whole story in itself. But on this one day, a friend of mine at the company referred me to an Indian restaurant. And I went to meet with this restaurant. And when you walk in somewhere, usually you can get a good feel like, is this a good fit or not for what I'm selling? And for me, it kind of felt like a no. The thing was under construction. I was in my head. I was pissed off. There was all these construction guys there that were in my way that were dealing with the owner first. And I went up to her and she kind of just told me to go sit over there for a while. I said, how rude. And I sat there and I'm being made to sit there for 20 minutes. I'm like, I shouldn't even be here. And eventually she calls me over. And so I sit down, the restaurant had no, what began as a sales call, she started to tell me all about why the restaurant was what it was, like the cultural heritage from India, her experience there, traveling there, how they want to bring those energies here and the celebrations and all the things that go with India. And I just got more and more and more fascinated. And then she started telling me about this pilgrimage that she went up this mountain called Mount Jammu in India. And I was like leaning in and getting more and more interested in what she was saying to the point where I totally forgot about what I was selling. I was so fascinated because at this point I was this early on seeker. And I always wanted to go on a spiritual journey. So when I heard stories of other people going on journeys, it just lit me up. And what happened is the week before, I was all set to create a trip to Thailand with one of my best friends in the world. And he said, I'll call you next week. And I never heard from him still to this day. We never confirmed that trip. So I
Wow.
was disgruntled about that. And there was this like opening. She's telling me, this wild pilgrimage and how people have these self-realizations. And she said, but you only go if you're called. And I said, well, how do you know? Like, go mess around with all that. And what happened is gradually I became so fascinated and passionate about those things I was doing on the side and these new modalities and people I was hanging out with, that started to kind of overtake this sales life that I was just dying to leave. And it just kept leading to other events, went on an ayahuasca journey in the jungle in 2010. That was a whole story. And then in 2019 led me to swimming with wild dolphins. And I think I just had enough experiences that were building up where I was feeling this stress overflow, this boiling pot in the professional life, and this ever growing passion for the spiritual journey and discovering myself more and wanting to see the world. That by the time I swam with these dolphins in 2019, I had just that was really, it was either the India or that one I was going to tell you. It broke me open. And I
Mm.
came back to the shore and I was in tears and I was looking at the horizon and I just said, I want more of this in my life. I want to feel this alive, this passion, this love. And I looked at my friend, I was in tears, and I just said, I'm done. I'm not going back to corporate. I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to travel the world. And then that's when I took a year to prepare and cash out my 401k, sell everything, and took this leap into the unknown. It was like steps. And
Mm.
India showed me, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're
Mm.
passionate about this. Follow that excitement.
So cashing out your 401k, people would call you crazy.
Hmm. Oh, they would. They would, wouldn't they?
So I'm curious to when you say things opened up for you, you're in your corporate and you have a circle of friends. How did you start shifting, putting yourself into communities, or how did that transpire?
Yeah, so right around the India time, it might have even have been right before or right after I went to this event in Arizona. That was my first spiritual event with like thought leaders and stages in a room. It's like 90% women, like a few guys. I was like, where are all the men at? Like, where's all the, what's going on with spirituality here? And I met an intuitive coach there, a clairvoyant. And it was this person, when she began coaching me, she said, you should look into Reiki. Like, it's important. You got to look into it. And I put a message out online for a practitioner. And
Mm.
one person responded, and she said, "Why don't you come to this circle Friday night?" And I said, "Okay." It's always following my yes. And I came to this circle, and it ended up being the graduation of one of my best friends, Tasnova, today. And in this
Wow.
circle, like my tribe was all there in this circle. Adam Passetti was there, and my friend Johanna, and I ended up starting the Reiki class like a few days later. And my friend Lisa Renee was there, and Michelle, and like these people that are my anchors to this day, all were right there. And I was like, this
Mm.
is wild. It's like I just got put into a new tribe. They were all the ones that said, "Hey, have you heard of gratitude training and this transformational training?" And then like my friend Lisa's like, "I got this thing about plant medicine. Like you should come check out this experience overnight." And I was like, yes, yes. But I wasn't open then, but I was open. I was kind of like tiptoeing out of my shell.
Hmm.
And it was my friends that kept pulling me along, and they were so loving. I was like, these people are so loving and so into what I'm into, and it feels so right. So it's like they just took me, and
Mm.
each experience opened me a little more. And these friends would be at every pivotal corner of my life. Like when I was with the dolphins, that was my friend Lisa who was sitting there, you know? It's just like a map that I couldn't see that got really clear. It was like, keep
Mm.
saying yes, go here, go here, go here, go here. And each
Hmm.
one um, just made the passion and the curiosity stronger to find out who I really was. And then I'm
Mm.
like back in the office under fluorescent lights with the sales team every Monday. I'm like in these meetings that are just like the same, and nothing's agreeing with me more and more. And I feel like nobody's being themselves. And I realize there's no growth. I can't find myself here. So I just shifted.
Oh, wow. I love that. What was your first ayahuasca grandmother ceremony like for you?
I'm happy you asked me this because I love to talk about my favorite experiences. In 18, my friend Michelle, who's one of these people that was in that circle, calls me one day. She's like, "I'm going to do ayahuasca in the jungle of Peru." And it was again, I was like, "Whoa, like that would be awesome." And she's like, "You should come." And I was like, "Nah, I couldn't, you know." And then at the time I did reach out to the coordinator, and there was no spots open. But that feeling was there again, like I want this. And when you can't have something, sometimes you want it more. And I was like, all right, there's no spots open. Well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I ended up going to see this psychic. I would see her every couple of years or something. She would tell me a lot of things about myself. And I asked her, and I said, "Angela, there's this trip in the jungle to ayahuasca. What can you tell me?" And she said, "You're supposed to be on that trip." She goes, "This is going to open up so much for you." She said, "In 10 days, you're going to get confirmation that you're going on that trip." I was like,
Mm.
"Really? That'd be wild, but okay, sure." On day 10, the retreat coordinator guide calls me, and she says, "Mike, somebody who's coming from California hurt their ankle and they had to back out of the trip, and now there's an open spot. Do you want to come?" And I said yes. And I went to the jungle for 10 days and did 5 ayahuasca ceremonies, and it was the most profound, tense, blow me open. I died 4 times in those ceremonies, and I came back and I was somewhere different consciously. I was on blood pressure medication before and cholesterol. And the day I got back to my office, they were testing people's blood for insurance. Like if you did it there, you would get a break on your insurance, like as like a
Mm.
health checkup. My blood pressure was normal, no medication,
Mm.
totally fixed. And that's really when I started. That trip really showed me what was important and what was not so important. And I came
Mhm.
back and I was like, this just isn't what I want. I'm not supposed to be here. There, after that trip, there was like a gap between who I was now and where I was. And it
Mm.
still took a couple more years for me to finally make the leap in 2020. But
Mhm.
each experience plays a part.
What was one of the messages that grandmother gave you during that 5-day
Mm.
experience that you can share?
Yeah, I filled an entire journal. I wrote in between every single ceremony. I remember one ceremony. The message is I have to go at my own pace in life. And you could say I was rushing. You know, I had a therapist a little before this time, and she would always tell me, she's like, "Mike, You're moving at 120 miles an hour, and we need to get you down to 80 with like the coffee and the sales and the trying to figure it out. This ceremony brought me so present into myself and slowed down time on this one particular night that it showed me every tiny nuance of where I held anxiety and where I
Mm.
thought I needed to move fast. So like someone would walk by me to the bathroom and I saw myself get anxious that they were going to get ahead of me, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It taught me how to handle myself in the moment and to go at my own pace and to slow down, and that nothing can happen when we're rushed. The body has to move at the pace that's good for it, no matter what anybody in the world says. So it taught me to slow down. And then this is wild. One night, the bathroom is just a hole in the ground outside of the Tambo. And what is maybe 100 feet away felt like it took about an hour to trek there. And I got there and my leg starts tingling as I'm peeing in the hole. And I'm like, I'm so deep. I'm like, spirit must be working on my leg or something. And then it started to burn. And I look down and there's an army of fire ants crawling up my leg while I'm on ayahuasca. And I started to freak. This was after I got that lesson. And something came in and was like, calm, you
Mm.
can handle this. No panic. And the message was, there's no room for panic at the table of mastery with yourself. So you have to go at your own pace, calm yourself. You're okay. You don't need to call for help. And it was this whole process of like moving slow, sitting down, shining a light on my leg, taking the ants off one at a time when everything in my body wanted to scream and run, and
Mm.
pouring water. And it was like how I could handle myself with the pressure happening and know that I got it. And that's a lot of what that ceremony taught me. And then just I purged so much too. Is I what was really profound for me is I got to feel my inner healer for the very first time. Like they sat me up and I would sense other people purging around me, and they showed me how to assist these people energetically, and I was with them, and then I felt the people like relieve themselves and be like, and I could feel my energy had a part of that. So I was like, whoa, there's this whole healer in me. There's this whole energy and soul that's capable of big things. And I was so excited to find out more.
People, and myself included, used to always say, I got to figure this out. I got to
Hmm.
figure it out. What is that for you now?
Yeah, your intuition's so on because this is something I'm working on. And I had an experience just last night where I ran into somebody that was a spiritual encounter who really just got into me to get me out of my head into my heart. And my whole journey over like 10 years has been from the head to the heart. I'm always working on it. I'm still in the head a ton. And I'm exhausted by it. I'm so tired of it. And the message is always like, when are you going to be done? When are you going to be done, man? When are you going to be in your heart and truly trust who you are and your soul and God, and allow us to show you all that's meant for you in this life? Literally, this guy last night was tapping on my head. He goes, you can't figure it out up here. Stop it. And he did energy work on me,
Mm.
like put me in here. Okay, so figuring out is where I was most of my life and where I've been moving. And then every day I'm coming more solidly into is this deeper grounded energy that's down here, that's below the thoughts, where I can state intention and prayer and get more clear on what I know in my heart intuitively. And I've stopped saying so much, I don't know, I can't figure it out, because it's just all confusion up here. So for me, like figuring it out is clinging on to the mind where I know nothing can be solved, because nothing
Mm.
can be solved from the mind that created it. Spirit, our soul already has the information. And I feel like it's just this journey of getting closer to integrating that knowing and that connection to our higher self, which already has the guidance. And so each time I'm able to just breathe and let the trying to figure it out go, because I found that for so long I was like, how do I let go? How do I let go? It's just, I try to let go, but I can't let go. My mind's going crazy. And I realized, I'm like, Mike, dude, I'm like, by trying to let go, you're still hanging on. You're still like not letting it go. So how do you do it? Allow it to let go of you. Come back to presence. And that's just breath. That's just a little bit more every day. That's just reminding myself that I got this, that I know this. And I had a really profound experience last night. It's just now I'm in this practice of just feeling like, what's the vibe that I want? What's the feeling that I want to have, even of the restaurant I want to go to? And how can I just kind of walk and feel my way to it rather than like doing the mathematics of it up here?
Yeah. That is such a practice. I cannot remember who said it. I'll put it in the show notes. He said something related to the longest journey is from the heart to the mind or the mind to the heart. Basically what you said is to integrate the two together, but leading with the heart and feeling into it. And I find myself doing that more and more. And it requires that slowness for me to
Yeah.
slow the fuck down. Girl,
Yeah.
sit down, breathe a minute, connect, because I want to go into my mind, the analytical aspect of it, and push. I can do it. It's not even about that.
Yeah, I love that. And just what comes to mind as you're saying that is we're so conditioned to be in this world, even though we're not of this world. So like the majority of the population is conditioned in the mind that we have to do it on our own and make it happen and push and know it and conclude it and figure it out. But if since we are these, infinite souls and energies from other places in the galaxy and wherever we came from, and we're here. This is some channeled information I got recently. I was told like you have to forget who you think you are and what you know of the world and what humans think. So it's like this deeper trust that's within all of us that I feel like that's when just the juice of life starts opening up. And what you said, like slow down, we have to, because we have to like clear the minds to come back to that guidance. We can't do it while we're moving. I feel it is like a less is more kind of thing. So I'll just end that thought with every time I feel confused and in the energy of confusion, I stop and back up and I let go of the whole thing. Come back to it later when it's more clear.
Yeah. The medicine where you're going around the tree.
Wachuma, also San
Wachuma. It
Pedro.
is Wachuma.
Okay.
Essentially, you're going around to the four altars.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I experienced it. So we're moving around, and it's kind of like, let me just say, I feel like that medicine was even more bitter and tough to get down than even ayahuasca.
Yeah, it don't taste good.
Is it San Pedro?
Yeah,
San
San
Pedro.
Pedro's the other name for it. I
That's
think
the other name
depending
for
where
it.
you.
Yeah. So that's where I realized I was holding on. And you were saying you were exhausted by your mentals. I did not realize how tight of a grip and how controlling and unsafe I felt until working with that medicine. And it was such a beautiful experience. At some one point, I laid all the way down on the grass. I was just like, I'm exhausted. Like I just can't. And it showed me all of the areas similar to you, which made me think of it, is that I'm holding on to this. I'm trying to control this and this and this and this. And I was like, oh my God. And so at one point, I started dancing around as we were walking, but like hanging my shoulders and swinging my arms because it was like letting go of it. And it was so dramatic. I just felt like I had to be so dramatic with it. And afterwards, everyone was telling me about myself, but I was like, and I explained what it was, and they're like, oh, it makes sense. Man, that was an eye opener.
So I'm curious about something. So you mentioned this feeling of unsafe, and
Yeah.
I'm wondering what's the connection for you with unsafe and perhaps control or the
Control.
mind or
Yeah.
like yeah, can you talk more about that?
Yeah, because if coming from an experience in life, childhood, and that type of thing, to not feel safe, I needed to have control of everything. I needed to know where things were, how things were going to work out. I needed to know from the beginning to the end. And that in the illusion made me feel safe. That was me having a mechanism, an egoic mechanism to provide that because that was all I knew.
Isn't that interesting that
Yeah.
it's probably how most people feel subconsciously or without knowing it is unsafe to let go of the control of having, but truly the safety is without the control. The safety is like I'm good because I am and I'm all the things, right? Protected here.
There's such a gap, though, when
Yeah.
you're first recognizing the control and then what I call surrender. Because in order to surrender, it challenges your safety in your mind after having control or feeling the need to control as the only way to be safe in the world.
Mm,
So to get to the point of allowing and to surrender and to just flow, down the river,
yeah.
that is a lot of layers of letting go, and it's beautiful. It's a practice, of course, and I find that I'm able to access that surrender through my heart way more.
Mm, yeah. Do you think you can achieve true safety from the mind?
I feel like it is possible.
Mm,
We are, I mean, I feel like everything is possible. I know that being in this body has and presents the limitations. However, I feel that that is a component that helps us to expand even. So within the limitations of the physical body, it still allows us to find the expansion in these areas of enlightenment or awakening,
mhm.
remembering.
Yeah.
That's what came to me.
Yeah, well, you make me think of like the contrast is just one of my favorite teachers in life, and you can't know one thing without the other. So how would you even know what safety feels like if you don't first know what control and feeling unsafe feel like? When you were talking about like how these are like almost like tools, like they add to the expansion, the working with the constriction and the
Mm.
control and the yeah.
What are some of the tools that you use for when you experience contrast?
The biggest thing that's always worked for me is the perspective of truly welcoming it all and knowing that I'm right where I need to be and that everything that's being presented in my reality is working for me as a friend in some kind of way to develop me through my own evolution. So back in the day where I used to just resist all of it all and see it as a problem, you can never get close enough to receive the magic of what the gift of that moment is teaching us. So, that word gift is just one of my favorite words. It's a perspective. I made a video the other day, and one thing that works for me is I'll say, this actually just came to me recently in a ceremony. I'll say, how can I make the gift of this moment more beautiful? And what that
Mm,
does is it wires me and helps me remember that every moment is a gift, even the things that seem like hard and that I want to pull my hair out or that I don't know or that I can't, like that's a gift too. So knowing that just brings a calm over me and I remember, this is like really helping me. Gratitude, gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for where I am. Thank you for what's happening. Thank you for all the mess that I feel. Thank you for all of it. Thank you that I don't even know right now. Maybe that's a beautiful thing instead of a thing that I was making myself wrong for. So it's beauty,
mm.
it's the gift, it's gratitude, it's bringing that energy to it. And then pausing, and I have a lot of self talks with myself where I just back up, I breathe, I say, all right, wait, let the whole thing go, breathe it out, Mike. And then I put my hands in my heart and I say, let's talk it through. What's happening here? What have I learned through contrast? Yeah, I really needed to know that darkness because wow, I'm so able to appreciate the joy now when it does come. And there's no way I would have known that if I didn't have the other thing to compare it to. I just talk really slow and just guide myself through. And I feel that those moments are so important because it's not so much mind. It's not like, I gotta figure it out. It's just like, here's my heart. Here's my inner child. What do you need, Mike? What do you need? I need to be talked through it. I need to be coached. I need to be hugged. I need to be held. I need time. I need to go at my own pace. And just the perspective of it all. It's not really like one system or another. It's just we all know how to do this for ourselves in the way that's best for ourselves if we take a moment to slow down and work with ourselves.
What I notice, there is a trend about how some are dealing with atrocities that are in this current reality. Speaking to love and light, and yes, it can be bypassing, but also I think there's something to it. But I want to hear your thoughts first.
I think I know what you're talking about because I've seen a lot of this in social media. You're saying people are calling others out, the ones that are saying love and light, and that they need to take more action about the atrocities.
Yeah. I'm using love and light as a broad spectrum.
Yeah, I do have thoughts on this. So, number one, yes, there's plenty of spiritual bypassing going on, but to each his own in his own degree. I don't think anything can just be labeled black and white, and this is what it is. I've absolutely come across people that are just trying to make everything light without considering that contrast dark or doing the real inner work to, accept and work with those energies that are just as important. Like you can't ignore those energies. Also, though, yes, there have been specific events in the world in certain countries where there are atrocities happening. And I actually went through my own inner confusion with how to be about this. And I saw people calling people out. And I get where they're coming from because the topic might be really passionate or personable, like to their heart and to their cause. I'm somewhere in the middle with this because I don't believe that it's all of our role to speak out
Shifting
and
gears a
stand
bit,
up for
we
the
move
things that other
into
people
the
think we
trend.
should
If you're
stand up for
silent,
and
you're part of
speak
the
out on.
problem.
That's another blanket statement thing. It's a little bit of a projection sometimes. I get where they're coming from. And I get that they're saying, hey, you can't just be all spiritual. You got to look at like the terrible things that are happening and we need to do something about it. And I like that and I agree that they feel that passionately about that. I believe we all have our own roles to play in the world and some people are meant to be advocates for certain things. That's in their heart and on their path, just like one person might be meant to be a teacher and another person might be meant to be a spiritual seeker. It's our dharmas, right, in this life. And some people are meant to be outspoken and on the front lines and making physical change, right? But once you start pulling people in, let's just call it the Israel-Palestine conflict, because this one hit me kind of personally because I have family in Israel. Without getting into like too many of the details, just by a lot of things I was seeing online and things that people close to me were saying, I felt like in a way I was being called out a little bit for not posting certain things for a particular side. And number one, these things are so big that I've seen a lot of people saying one thing, and as time goes by, you see that there's this other thing happening that kind of makes your perspective on the first thing a little bit different. Like there's always more to the picture. You got to give it a little bit of time for that picture to form, like instead of just making people wrong. One statement that was going around a lot was like, if you are silent, it means you're against us. You're not speaking up, so you're part of the problem. No, that's manipulation. That's manipulation. I see what they're saying, but when you use that in a way to make other people wrong when you don't know what's going on in these people's lives or what's important to them, we only have the capacity within us for so much focus and energy. We only have so much energy. So if someone's like, you better, like, why are you not doing this? And like posting all these videos of all the things going wrong and da, 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 da. And it's like, and for me, I was like, wait a minute. I'm highly focused on the way that I serve and help people in the world and the way that I best know how, in the way that I've been training for 10 years, in the way that I know that I need to stay focused and simplicity. And like I've been working on this and I know how I am a gift. And it's not on those front lines like some of those people say. If I feel I need to say something, I'll say it. And I think people's free will, like that's very important. That comes in. There are people that get on a line like this, and we need to look at this, and we need to look at this. And like, there's layers of truth to it all. I agree. There are some horrible things going on that people are pushing under the carpet. Absolutely. I am not taking any light away from that. Like, it's bad. But I had these pretty kind of high spiritual teachers one time that I met, and I asked them this question. And they were like, who are you to say what God's plan is? They were like a lot of humans want to say it's this and it's this. And it like, Let them play their part, but you have no idea what the bigger picture is. You have no idea what needs to happen. You're labeling it good and bad. Like that's the high perspective, right? Like God's plan. So there's a lot of different ways that you can take it. And I appreciate and honor passionate people who want to do certain things about it. And I got my own feelings that are like, I got some torn stuff between the Palestine Israel stuff, and I'm Jewish, and like I've even said like maybe I should say something, maybe I should speak out this way. I'm not totally clear on it yet, but I think that there's like little nuances of truth in all of it, and you can't make somebody wrong because they're not acting how you're acting.
I also had to go in deep with myself to see, why are you not saying anything?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you, for whatever the situation is, if I don't feel resonant with that, I won't speak to it. I feel my role right now is to take those emotions, experiencing sadness and the horrifiedness that I feel about all of the things, top down dumb shit, lack of humanity, and what am I and how am I reacting to myself within myself about shadow stuff, about viewpoints of myself, and how am I looking at that? It still in some ways feels a little convoluted to me.
Mm-hmm.
How it's not about, in my perspective, it's not about fighting. Is this situation asking for love? And I can't really do anything specifically in situations that occur other than send love and continue my path in the most authentic way.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm in a similar place. Like I've totally felt the confusion too, and I'm like, do I need to say anything? And there is this thing to, okay, if you're able to, if you're in a position of, because somebody close to me threw that at me, and they said you need to be using your videos to speak about this.
Hmm.
And it does grow, but I know that I'm doing my part in my way to help people not be so caught up in the chaos of all of the world that they can't find themselves, lose themselves, and they really are not doing anything to help the problem when they think they are coming from just belligerent energy that's like, I mean, if that's your thing, do it. It has its place. It has its place.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against it. Like if you're one of these
Mm-hmm.
people that is like, I'm gonna go do something about it. Hell yeah, go do something about
Yeah.
it. That's your role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent, absolutely. Also, though, from a spiritual perspective, and I think this is where a lot of people kind of like label this as love and light, even though there are the spiritual bypassers, there's a lot of truth. It is the truth that the inner state reflects the outer state, and that by what we do with ourselves internally and how we handle ourselves, how we alchemize ourselves, how we look at our own shadows, how we deal with our own inner chaos does play a major part in the world. I
Yes.
found it can be tricky to talk about that because a lot of people don't understand it and they think, oh, you're just all about peace and spirituality while like the world goes to shit. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just not my perspective. I don't think the world is going to shit.
Yeah.
I don't.
What medicine, what else is here for us to share?
What I'm always working on in my life that I realize that I need a lot of practice and time with myself first is to really continue to come into who I am beneath all of the conditioning and all of this like identity stuff of the past of the fear and what I think I need to be and what I need to do in the world. Just my medicine, my offering is serving people in such a way where they to help them tune out all of this noise and feel more who they truly are, because like from that place I feel our life opens up and the right relationships come in and the right professions, if you want to call it that, come in, and the right gifts and modalities and all these things coming in. Love that, especially the last thing you said. Yeah, there. I find that there is this kind of dance that we do. I do it a lot, at least, between allowing life and universe to find us and to show us what's right. And then there's the putting our willpower and what we choose and what we know and the creatorship into it. And I'm
Yeah.
always kind of questioning this and learn, like my whole night last night was about this from this conversation with this particular person. I feel like a lot of us in life, the things we choose to create are the vehicle of our own transformation. Like, yes, you could write a book for the world, but that book, you're also going to learn who you are through that process of writing that book. It's like the thing that your soul chooses, I believe, to pull you into who you really are,
Mm.
because we need some kind of vehicle to do it rather than just like sit in nothingness all the time.
I love that metaphor, like vehicle.
The last thing you said, it's this. Like, yeah, and there's the choice and the willpower and the creatorship. I've been in this place for, I think this is also a little bit of the balance in the masculine and feminine. For 4 years, I was traveling the world all over the place, having all these wild experiences, more in the feminine, kind of just blowing like, God, it's up to you. I literally wrote a letter to God before I went and I said, connect me with my
Mm.
calling on the other side and bring in all the people, places, resources, everything I need, turn me inside out. And that happened. But now I'm starting to understand where my masculine side comes in. And this story of my whole life where I've been telling myself, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what the thing is. I'm not sure. I'm not. Like this person last night held landed for me. He's like, you do know. Stop it. Get out of there. And I think it's this beautiful journey of coming into just being able to feel more. This is what I want and this is what I know. And I know for me, I've noticed where I'm like afraid to say the thing that I want and I know, because maybe depending on how the person near me will react, or is it the right thing to say, or how does that sit with you, or whatever. And from
Mm.
last night to this morning, what's on the, I guess I'm bringing it full circle. I didn't even know where I was going. What's exciting and alive for me and my vision is to travel again, but with more of a purpose of speaking and teaching and guiding, or retreats or whatever it is, not just kind of blowing by the wind. And I've been asking and praying in the way that I feel is best for me to God to show me what those things are. And last night I realized, I said, you know what though? A lot of time's going by, and it's not that
Mm.
that's wrong, but it doesn't have to be that much time.
Mm.
Where's a place I actually want to go right now? And what's the story in my mind that tells me it can't happen, whether that's money or time or whatever? So what I'm throwing out there right now is I want to see how deep I can get into saying, like, this is possible now. This is what I want. This is what I want it to look like, God. Now bring it in, and
Mm.
we'll see. That's my new experiment,
Yeah.
you could say.
Consumerism. I'm in a quandary. The money system and the current exchange system that we have for have a service, you pay me money. I don't really, isn't really what I feel is the natural exchange. It could be. However, I would like to explore other ways of how to show up, offering my support, gift, love, and all of that in new ways versus I am uncomfortable with paying $10,000 or $5,000 for a particular something. There are levels to it. What are your thoughts?
Can I ask you first, why? Why is that important to you? Like, yeah, just speak a little, like, why?
There are people are in situations they may not yet be at a point where they can manifest $10,000.
Yeah.
However, they are deserving, as all of us are, for receiving support and empowerment. I feel like that is who am I to just put a cap on something for someone to receive that is a gift that was given to me, is who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've spent time with this one too. I think it starts number one. I just, how I'm working on it for myself is, first of all, like, what stories am I dragging with me? Like, perhaps I'm putting a cap on someone, or like it happened last night. Somebody was like, how much do you want to make? How much money from this event? And I said, I picked a number that kind of felt good. And then I started to justify and explain it. And I said, because I don't want people to have to pay so much for something. I want it to be affordable. He was like, stop. Like, who said that? Who said that that's what it is? Who even says where the money's coming from? Who even, like, what thing of your belief in the past or on the situation are you putting this on it? Because it doesn't mean that. In our minds off, and I know, like, in our minds often it's like, this thing means that, so I have to charge this. But that money could come from somewhere else, or those people, it could be a breakthrough for them as well. I'm careful to not make decisions for other people that would maybe limit their breakthrough or resources. Like I definitely have my own money conversation that I'm working on. I will say I have a similar mentality as you. I've spent 5,000. I spent 10,000. I spent a lot of money for things that I got value out of for sure, but I've got more value out of particular maybe things that were almost free. It's hard to
Conversations.
conversations, yes. So at the end of the day, I feel that we get to be fully supported for the offerings and the work and the gifts that we are putting out into the world, however that looks. Sometimes that may look like I charge a little bit less over here, but something else comes in over here when I show up in this place, and that money comes from, I don't know, a gift from someone else or like a side job or like whatever. It just, it supports the thing.
That's always in place. But am I putting too much value on money as the means to get my dream or to have things come into manifestation?
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I'll just speak honestly and straight. I believe in my heart of heart, it's not about focusing on money. In my heart of heart, it's about fully carrying through like what we can offer, and that the money comes as a byproduct. And that can be a challenging thing to say in the world of money and the systems and all the things. And I'm in some debt right now for some things that I'm paying off that I was like, I hope it was the right thing. I hope it like, but I got to trust that it was. And
Hmm.
even moving forward, like have had this thought, I'm like, I want my work to be available to everyone who needs it. And it might not be everyone, right? But I don't know that it's just the top tier people who don't, versus like maybe other people who don't have the skills or the manifestation skills like we talked about, or the know-how or the wherewithal. And I think that that comes down to just case by case personal basis, how we
Yeah.
feel and how we want to operate. Because I'm also so with, like, if I feel something in a moment and I'm being guided and I'm like, this person gets it for free just
Yeah.
because. And I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. And I'm still provided for and I get to do my thing and I get to show up and whatever. I'm not fixated on the dollar amount. I think for me, that messes me up and that's not the world that I want to create. Because
Hmm.
how much money is enough,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
I love it. So, this has been such a great conversation, Mike. I appreciate you. I would say I see you, I feel you, I resonate with you. So, the last two questions that I have: what tools or what would you offer to someone who is in a space of reflection, reframe, shadow work, for someone who is in a contrasting spot right now?
Yeah, yeah. I would say practice and remind yourself as often as possible that you really are where you're supposed to be and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. I think half of what we can deal with when we're in these challenging situations and seasons of our life is that it can feel out of our hands and like there's maybe not a light at the end of the tunnel or we don't know which way to go. And these are the moments that anchor you deeper into the faith of yourself, your ability in yourself, and all that we're connected to. I would also say you're not alone. You are not alone. You are never, 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 ever alone. And I'm not just talking about people in this world. Yes, there are people that are all going through the same thing, but you have an invisible support team around you at all times that is guiding you, directing you, ensuring that you make it through this time. So, what can you control and do about it? This is where the work is. It's like every time your mind goes into the panic and the chaos, that will not serve you at all. And it's okay that it does because we're human and it is supposed to. But it's about how often in my awareness can I realign, 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 back to my heart, back to presence, back to gratitude. What am I learning? What can I do with what I have now? And eventually, all will reveal itself.
Hmm. That's such a well rounded response. Yeah. Last question:
Mm-hmm.
what are you dreaming the world to be?
Yeah, the word that instantly comes to mind is freedom, where everybody get to feel free in who they are and how they want to live, and like they have the ability and the permission within themselves to do that. We need new. We need new. So I'm dreaming of a world where people are anchored more inward than they are outward. And from that place, there's all sorts of new gifts that are coming out that are just painting the world in a way that we never could have imagined. And we're not supposed to know what that is because that's where the surprise and excitement comes from. New paradigm.
Thank you, Mike. Is there any last titillating thoughts or words that are coming?
Yeah. Yeah, it just popped in. So this is the phrase that had me cash out my 1K. Life is now, not tomorrow, not in an hour, not I'll do it when things are right. We can have what we really desire and deserve much sooner. It's possible. Life is now.
What a great note to end on. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia. It's been so much fun. I loved all the questions, just loved the flow back and forth and really enjoyed myself. Yeah.